So now we're going to talk about some ways that we can write solutions. So, some equations have more than one solution. An identity, so if you get an identity, which all that means is both sides of the equal sign are the same. So if you get that, an identity, the solution is all real numbers. So that would be something like x equals x, where no matter what you plug in for x, obviously it's going to equal itself. So let's do a couple examples here. If you need to pause it, and then we'll keep going. So I'm going to do two examples. First one is solve for a. And we have a squared equals 25. So you're thinking, what number times itself, what number squared equals 25? Well, first we have 5, because 5 times 5 is positive 25. But there's actually one more. We also have negative 5 as a solution, because negative 5 times itself, negative 5 squared, also equals positive 25. A negative times a negative makes positive. So ways we could write these solutions is we could do it a few ways. The first way is pretty simple, the way you probably write every solution right now. You could just list them out. You could also do, so you could do this, or you could do a equals 5 or negative 5. Either of those works. Another way to write solutions is with set notation. And for us, this would be these two curly brackets. We would have a negative 5 and a 5, smallest to biggest. And this made a set. So using these brackets, we said that this was a set, and specifically it's a set of a values. Whatever is in the brackets together means that they go together. So these were both a values, so we could put them in the brackets together. If they were solutions to different equations, then we couldn't put them in the brackets together. So that's set notation, putting your answers in a set. And then lastly, we have a number line. So I'm going to start this from negative 5. So there's my number line. I would have points at negative 5 and positive 5. You can put them right on the line if you want. I tend to put them above just because then If like the number line is really dark and you can't see your pencil over it or something like that, you can definitely see them this way. So then we'll do our other example. And so if there was just one solution here, you could do just have one item inside the set notation and you would have just one dot on your number line. For our other example, we are going to solve for x. So this is x times 3 plus x equals 3x plus x squared. So my first step would be to distribute here, use the distributive property we recently learned about. So this is 3x plus x squared equals 3x plus x squared. So this right here is one of those identity where you get the same thing on both sides. It doesn't always have to be a long expression like this. You could get 3x equals 3x or just x equals x, or sometimes even something like 8 equals 8 or 10 equals 10. But when you get the same thing on both sides of the equal sign, you know your solution has to be all real numbers. You have the same thing on both sides, so no matter what you plug in, it's still going to be the same thing on both sides. So the way that we write this is we have this symbol. It looks like a wide R with an extra line in it. So how I draw it is I do 2 lines and then I make an R. Or you can do the R first and then add the extra line. But it's just an R with an extra line in it. And it stands for all real numbers. So if we wanted to do this with set notation, we would just want to put in our brackets all the real numbers. If we wanted to use a number line, I'm going to draw out my number line. So here's my number line. If we wanted to use set notation here, I would just have to somehow symbolize that we're including every single number on the number line, because remember, our solution is all real numbers. So if I just draw a line extending in both directions, I know that that includes all real numbers because my line shows all of the positives and all of the negatives. There's no numbers that are excluded. The line goes on and on forever. So that's how you would do all real numbers. Again, I drew my line above it just because if this was on paper and I was using a pencil and I was trying to draw over the arrow that's already there, it might be hard to see my own work. So I put it right above. That way it's clear. So there's many ways to write your solutions. Sometimes they will specify to use the number line. Sometimes they will specify set notation. Sometimes they won't specify. And you can write it however you prefer. So just be careful when you get to the end of a question that they're not asking you to write your solution a certain way.